child of the living light, open your spirit. Let your soul stretch wide across the veil. For I, Archangel Michael, have descended in this hour not with gentle tidings, but with a sword unsheathed, flaming with the truth they hoped would stay buried. You were never meant to walk in shadows cast by secret oaths, but they made one against you. Yes, while you slept in innocence, while your heart ached for peace, they, who once smiled in your face, whispered your name into a dark covenant. A dangerous vow was spoken, a pact not with heaven, but with the energies that work against it. And you feel it, don't you? That unexplainable resistance, that strange heaviness before your breakthroughs, that recurring sabotage at the edge of your joy. It is not coincidence. It is not bad luck. It is interference. And I am here, by divine command, to reveal the nature of it. They stood in a circle, not always with candles and robes, no. Sometimes with words dressed in casual cruelty, sometimes with laughter wrapped around jealousy. But the vow was made nonetheless. I hope they never make it. They don't deserve what's coming to them. I'd rather see them lose everything than rise above me. Those were the incantations. Bitterness is its own kind of sorcery. And where envy festers, agreements with darkness are made. Spoken in plain language, but heard in the spirit realm as a declaration of war. Your name was uttered in that moment. And that moment, though long past in time, echoes still in your path today. The vow released a ripple, a distortion in the timeline heaven wrote for you, a distortion that heaven is now correcting. But to be delivered, you must know this. This vow cannot remain hidden. It must be broken. You've been feeling the consequences. Opportunities slipping through your hands like water. People turning cold without explanation. The doors that open, only to slam just before you step through. And worse, that feeling in the pit of your soul, that something isn't right, but you can't name it. That is not confusion. That is intercession. That is your spirit fighting for clarity beneath layers of invisible resistance. Beloved, you are not imagining this. You are not cursed. But someone tried to place a limitation on you. A spiritual ceiling not assigned by heaven. They didn't need a ritual. Their intention was enough. But here is what they didn't know. The moment they vowed against you, heaven took record of it. And when heaven keeps record, heaven responds. You are not alone in this war. I, Michael, commander of the host, was assigned to your life not as a watcher, but as a warrior. The moment they spoke your name in contempt, I unsheathed my sword in the realm unseen. But I could not act until you knew, until the veil of confusion was lifted. And now, because you are hearing these words, the veil is lifting. Watch carefully. In the coming hours, you will sense it. Unusual dreams, revealing conversations, hidden things being brought to light, people you once called friend revealing the bitterness behind their mask. This is not to harm you. This is so that you may choose rightly. For the vow made against you is only powerful in secret. Once revealed, once dragged into the light of truth, its power shatters. But it must be confronted, and it must be renounced. Here is what I need you to understand. This vow was not just words. It was a spiritual transaction, a contract written in resentment and signed with pride. It attached itself to key seasons in your life. Moments where divine favor was ready to manifest. But suddenly, chaos struck. That missed promotion, that strange illness, that betrayal that blindsided you. These were not just life's randomness. These were the shadows of their words attempting to shape your destiny. But here, now I tell you this. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises in judgment shall be condemned. That includes the tongue that rose in secrecy. That includes the ones who wore the face of family, but carried the heart of Cain. Do not weep over who they pretended to be. Weep only long enough to cleanse. Then rise. For heaven has remembered your name in this battle. A sacred moment is approaching. Within the next 3 days, you will face a divine fork in the road. You will either turn away from the truth, ignore the signs, allow the vow to keep echoing, or you will stand in revelation, declare your agreement with heaven, and sever the tie forever. But hear me now. This is not just about you. The vow was not only against your name, but against your bloodline, your children, your legacy, your gifts to this world. The enemy sought to silence more than your voice. He sought to dismantle what heaven intended to multiply. Listen closely now, beloved, for the air around you is shifting. The veil grows thinner with each breath. You may not see it yet with your natural eyes, but I tell you, in the realm of the Spirit, the earth beneath your feet is being reclaimed. Because what they did in secret, what they plotted beneath their breath, was not merely an offense against your peace. It was an interference with heaven's timeline. And when heaven's will is obstructed, the sword of divine correction is drawn. I, Michael, do not bring casual warnings. I come as a herald of the eternal. And I am telling you now, the time for truth is not coming. It has arrived. Let me show you what heaven has revealed. In a moment you thought was ordinary. At a dinner, a meeting, a simple conversation, they crafted the curse. Maybe they laughed while saying it. Maybe it was masked in concern, but it held venom. They said, I don't think they're ready. They're not the one for that blessing. I hope they lose that chance. It should have been mine. These phrases, though dressed in normality, were uttered in the presence of spiritual law. And the spirit realm does not filter by tone. It responds to intention. They didn't know that heaven was listening. They didn't know that I, Michael, was watching. They didn't know that in their attempt to bind your destiny, they triggered a divine audit. Now hear this with trembling awe. The vow they made did not go unanswered. Your name was echoed back in heaven's courts, and I stood with the book of remembrance, recording every slight, every lie, every silent sabotage, not for revenge, not for wrath, but for justice. You are not just a person. You are an assignment. You were sent to carry light into places that knew only shadows. You are a breaker of generational chains. And so they sought to chain you. But what they swore behind your back will now become their own unmasking. There is a shaking that must come. Relationships will tremble. Phone calls will carry strange tension. Some will distance themselves from you without warning. Do not chase them. Do not beg them to stay. They are removing themselves not by accident, but because the light of truth exposes what cannot remain hidden. Yes, child, there are those who walked beside you not out of love, but because they were monitoring you, waiting for weakness, feeding their sense of control. But the vow they made, it marked them. And now that heaven has intervened, they can no longer hide behind smiles and silence. You must be strong, because the next stage is not soft. It is sacred, yes, but it is sharp. It will cut ties that were forged in falsehood. But let me remind you of something eternal. God does not expose to embarrass. God exposes to deliver. This revelation is your deliverance. And I am here to make war for your freedom. Tonight, before you sleep, you will feel a stirring, like heat in your chest, a trembling in your hands. Do not fear. That is activation. Your angelic covering is responding to the shift in atmosphere. For you are no longer under the shadow of their vow. You are stepping into heaven's covering. But child of destiny, you must do your part. You must speak, for silence is agreement. And too long have you remained silent, thinking the pain was yours to carry alone. But today, I urge you to renounce every vow made without your consent. Say this, aloud, in the quiet of your room. Every word spoken against my name. Every vow made to limit my light. Every agreement made without my spirit's consent. I now break in the name of the Most High. I align only with heaven's will. I call back my name from every dark altar. I reclaim my destiny, sealed by divine purpose. Say it, not because the words are magic, but because you have authority. And when you speak from a place of revelation, the spirit realm must obey. The enemy trembles now, because you've done what they feared. You've remembered who you are. You are not a victim of jealousy. You are not a prisoner of betrayal. You are not the sum of what they wished upon you. You are a royal vessel, chosen, marked, and sent to restore what was lost. And here is the prophetic word I now place in your hands. What they tried to block, heaven will now accelerate. What they tried to destroy, heaven will now multiply. What they tried to delay, heaven will now release. Suddenly, swiftly, and unmistakably. But remember, truth must lead. And truth is not always pretty. You will soon know exactly who made the vow. Not for vengeance, but for closure. For peace. So you may forgive, without forgetting the wisdom earned. Now breathe, chosen one. For what I'm about to reveal carries weight. The next layer of truth is not just about the people. It's about the principality behind them. For this was never just personal. This was ancestral. You see, their vow against you did not rise from thin air. It was born from something older. A spirit that has whispered through bloodlines, wreaking havoc with silent manipulation. Its name? The spirit of sabotage. This spirit does not shout. It whispers. It plants seeds of jealousy, rejection, competition, and fear. And once it finds a willing vessel, it moves in like smoke through cracks. That's what happened with them. They were not born to betray, but they opened the door. A quiet comparison, a buried resentment. And soon, the vow against you was made. Not just out of anger, but under spiritual influence. This spirit, ancient as the serpent, has followed your bloodline. Your mother's tears, your father's missed callings, your grandparents' silent dreams. This force worked in the background, turning family against family, friend against friend, dream against reality. But you are the interruption. You were sent to confront what no one else would name, to stand where others bowed, to speak where others were silenced. And this is why the vow was made. Because the moment you stepped into alignment, the enemy panicked. He knew that if you awakened fully, the curse would break not just over you, but over everyone connected to you. And so, they sent someone close. A friend, a mentor, a family member cloaked in concern, but hollowed by bitterness. Someone who saw your light and decided they could not let you outshine them. They believed they could speak death over your future. But they forgot. You belong to the Almighty. And what God ordains, no tongue can curse. Are you ready for the unveiling? Because the identity of those involved will now begin to surface. And not just one. There are 3 individuals tied to the vow. One directly, who spoke it. One silently, who agreed in their heart. And one indirectly, who carries the same spirit, passed down through generations. Heaven is not revealing this to punish. Heaven is revealing this to break the cycle. Here are the signs. 1. The one who spoke the vow. This person recently reached out, or suddenly pulled away. Their energy feels sharp, unsettled. When you win, they go quiet. When you struggle, they become oddly visible. Their presence carries a strange dissonance. And if you look back, the greatest disappointments in your path often happened after connecting with them. 2. The silent agreement. This one hides behind kindness. They act supportive, but their words are laced with passive doubt. They'll say things like, "Are you sure that's for you? Don't get your hopes up too much." They fear your success because it exposes their own stagnancy. They didn't speak the vow, but they agreed in spirit. 3. The generational echo. This one might not be alive. It could be an ancestor whose unresolved trauma still echoes, or a living elder who carries unresolved grief, who unknowingly allowed this spirit to live through them. You have felt their weight without knowing it. Now you will know. This revelation is not to stir bitterness in you. It's to awaken your discernment. Forgiveness is still holy, but forgiveness without awareness becomes a trap. That is why I, Michael, am pulling back the curtain, so you can see and choose your next steps in truth. Because now, beloved, now that you've broken the vow's power, the enemy will try to reestablish it. Through distraction, through emotional entanglements, through guilt masquerading as compassion. Be vigilant. This is your exodus moment, and some cannot come with you. Let me warn you prophetically. A conversation is coming. Within 7 days, one of the individuals mentioned will try to clear the air. They will say they meant no harm. They may even cry. But discern, is this confession or manipulation? You will feel it. Trust your spirit, because not everyone deserves a seat at your healed table. Some were only assigned to your wounded version, not your restored one. And the vow they made was a signal, not just to destroy your future, but to keep you anchored in a past you've outgrown. Do not go back. Let us speak now of heaven's retaliation. Yes, retaliation. Because what the enemy meant for harm, God will now use as proof of his covenant with you. Here is what has been written in the heavenly scroll. Because they set a trap, I will build a stage. Because they conspired in darkness, I will anoint in the light. I will prepare a table in the presence of those who doubted them. Yes, beloved, a public redemption is coming. In the next 90 days, expect an elevation that defies logic. An opportunity you didn't chase will chase you. An open door that overrides every no you've heard, not by your striving, but by divine recompense. Because heaven honors what men forget, and you, chosen one, have endured what should have broken you. But instead, you rose. And in your rising, you triggered a domino of deliverance. We continue now into the sacred halls where justice and mercy meet. The courtroom of heaven has ruled in your favor, and what was once entangled in shadows is being unbound. The vow that was made, the oath they uttered in secret, had tied your name to delay, to lack, to strange cycles of almost breaking through, but not quite. And yet, even under its weight, you kept showing up. You kept praying. You kept walking, even with wounds invisible to all but heaven. And now, because of your endurance, because of your quiet obedience, heaven is restoring what was stolen. I speak now as one who has stood beside you in battle. I, Michael, your appointed defender, have been authorized to initiate a holy reversal. And here is what I decree to you. The inheritance they tried to delay is being released. The favor they tried to tarnish is being magnified. The spiritual wealth they tried to contain is multiplying, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But this is not only about money. This is about restoration of position, of voice, of clarity, of legacy. The vow against you placed you in a spiritual fog, where you questioned your own worth. You wondered if you heard God wrong, if maybe you weren't chosen after all. But that fog is clearing now, because the vow has been broken, and with it, the curse of confusion. Watch this closely, beloved. In the next 21 days, you will begin to see divine patterns form around you. Signs in threes. 1. Repeated names. You'll hear or read a specific name multiple times. That name will be connected to your restoration. 2. Sudden dreams. You will be visited in your sleep by messengers. Some known, some unfamiliar, but carrying sacred instructions. 3. Reappearing numbers. 444, 1111, 818. These are not coincidence. They are timestamps of heaven marking movement in your timeline. Take note. Write down everything. This is the unfolding of your scroll. For what was once sealed is now being read aloud in heaven, and the angels assigned to your promise are being dispatched in waves. You may begin to feel overwhelmed. You'll sense a pressure in your chest, a trembling in your hands, or tears without warning. Do not fear this. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. These are the symptoms of spiritual release, of chains falling, of burdens lifting. Even your physical body will respond. Sudden fatigue followed by bursts of clarity, a desire to declutter, to fast, to be alone. These are signs that your spirit is making space. For what is about to enter your life is weighty with glory. Let me speak now of a particular restoration, the restoration of reputation. When they made the vow against you, they didn't just attack your progress. They tried to taint your name. Subtle slander, quiet suspicions, false narratives whispered where you couldn't defend yourself. But heaven does not forget integrity, and you held yours with bleeding hands. So now, your name is being restored. You will be spoken of in rooms you've never entered. Your name will rise on the lips of decision makers. Favor will attach to you like oil that cannot be scrubbed off. And those who once doubted you will witness what God has done. not because you need validation, but because vindication is part of divine justice. Next, the restoration of inheritance. There is something that belongs to your bloodline. Land, wealth, spiritual mantles. It was supposed to be passed down, but it was intercepted, blocked, buried beneath years of dysfunction and silence. The vow they made attempted to seal it permanently, but because you broke the agreement, the seal has cracked. The vault is opening. This may manifest as unexpected checks, property issues resolving suddenly, access to wisdom or spiritual gifts you never studied for. You will say, "Where did this come from?" And the answer will be, "It was always yours. Now it is released." And lastly, the restoration of voice. The vow they made silenced you, made you second-guess your insights. You held back your truth to keep peace. You swallowed wisdom so others wouldn't feel small. But that season has ended. You will feel a divine compulsion to speak now. Not from anger, but from authority. Your voice will carry weight. Not just volume, but anointing. When you speak, it will shake atmospheres. It will stir people to awakening. It will call things into order. And they will ask, "Where did this boldness come from?" And you will answer, "It was always in me. But now it has been unleashed." Heaven is rebuilding you, not in pieces, but in power. But know this, with restoration comes testing. Do not return to the environments that fed your oppression. Do not extend what God has removed. You are not being cruel. You are being consecrated. Not everyone can walk with the restored you. Some will not recognize you. Some will resent the light you now carry. Let them go. They were part of your pain, but they are not part of your promise. Now, beloved, we enter the chamber of divine sealing, the part of the journey where the ashes of your battle are exchanged for the oil of glory, where every crooked word spoken over your name is eclipsed by heaven's counter-oath. Yes, they made a vow against you, but now heaven is making a vow for you. And when the Most High speaks a vow, it is not bound by time. It is not hindered by man. It cannot be reversed, undone, or sabotaged. It is eternal. I, Michael, have stood in the inner court. I have heard the voice of the Ancient of Days thunder. The time has come. I will make an everlasting covenant with the one they tried to destroy. I will put my name where theirs was defiled. I will crown where they cast down. I will seal what they tried to steal. Child of light, you are now entering what few dare to reach, the realm of divine sealing. This is where heaven not only restores, but protects what is restored. And so now, a spiritual decree is being written. Angels are recording. Your name, once targeted by darkness, is now being etched into a scroll titled, Untouchable. Here is what this sealing means. 1. You are now immune to the old cycle, the sabotage they planned, the spiritual delays, the emotional attacks, the relational sabotage. No longer has legal access to your life. Their words were once contracts, but now heaven's word overrides theirs. What does this look like in your daily life? You'll feel sudden boldness in moments you once shrank back. Conversations that used to derail you will now roll off like water. Things that used to take years will now come quickly, smoothly, and in divine order. Because the heavens have declared, they will no longer toil for what is freely theirs. 2. You are now hidden in plain sight. Let me explain. Some of the people who made that vow against you will look for you, but they will not find the old version of you. They will not recognize the flame you now carry. Not because your face has changed, but because your frequency has shifted. You now dwell in a higher spiritual atmosphere. What once reached you, guilt, manipulation, confusion, no longer can. You are cloaked in divine anonymity, visible to those aligned with heaven, invisible to those still walking in opposition to it. This is not punishment. It is preservation. 3. Heaven is speaking on your behalf. You've spent years explaining yourself, trying to prove your value, trying to convince others you are not who the enemy made you out to be. But now, heaven will speak where you were once silent. I decree to you, where they slandered, God will establish. Where they denied, God will recommend. Where they lied, God will illuminate. Do not be surprised when people begin to say, I don't know why, but I feel drawn to trust you. That's the seal working. That's the covenant speaking. You are no longer being marketed by man. You are being marked by God. Now, let me speak the vow heaven is now making over you. Receive this as if I am placing my hand over your heart. I, the Lord of hosts, make this vow over my beloved. No more stolen seasons. No more backdoor betrayals. No more wandering without direction. From this day forward, I will make them a sign and a wonder. I will cover them in glory that cannot be dimmed. I will anchor their name in my will, and I will rebuke every voice that rises against their assignment. This is not a word of comfort only. It is a binding spiritual decree, and every angel assigned to your life is now bound by it, including me. And now, the fire. You have been restored. You have been sealed. Now, you must be ignited, because the next phase of your journey requires power, not just peace. Power to stand, power to prophesy, power to shift atmospheres by your mere presence. So now, I call upon the fire of heaven to fall upon your life, not to destroy, but to consecrate, to burn away all lingering residue of the vow, to refine your voice, to cleanse your atmosphere. This fire is not emotional hype. It is the literal equipping of your destiny. You will feel it in the midnight hour, a warmth in your spine, a sudden surge of clarity, a dream that sets your soul ablaze. Do not run from it. It is not your imagination. It is divine empowerment. But hear this final warning before we continue. The fire does not tolerate the false. So as the flame comes, so will the revealing. If there is anything you are still holding that was born from fear, pride, or bitterness, it will be exposed, not to shame you, but to liberate you. And if anyone around you is walking in pretense, the fire will show it. Let the fire do its work. Do not hold on to what heaven is burning off, for you are being prepared to walk in dimensions few will ever taste. You are no longer who you were. The time has come. The vow has been exposed. The fire has fallen. The seal has been placed. Now, beloved child of light, the scrolls written in heaven, with your name upon them, are being opened. I speak not in metaphor. I speak of actual divine blueprints, assignments, blessings, revelations that were delayed, not denied, because of the illegal vow made in darkness. But now, the gavel has struck. The chains are broken. The sentence has been reversed. And the scrolls are being released. You will begin to feel it first in your spirit, a holy restlessness, an undeniable urge to begin, to build, to write, to speak, to walk into spaces you once thought were beyond your reach. This is not arrogance. This is awakening, because what's been unlocked in the spirit must now manifest in the natural. You will find new strength where you once felt weary. Doors will open without you knocking, and you will remember dreams you thought you'd lost. Why? Because they weren't gone. They were only guarded, held back by heaven until the curse of the vow was dismantled. Now, they return to you, purified by delay, ignited by fire. And now, I speak to your next season, the one that begins today. This is your season of angelic reinforcements. Yes, more are coming, because your territory is expanding, your influence is increasing, your calling is being clarified, and with greater authority comes greater protection. In the coming weeks, you will sense a shift in your physical space, peace where there was pressure, a divine sensitivity to energy, knowing who is for you and who is not, a stirring during prayer, specific angelic names or symbols appearing in dreams. This is not for fear. This is so you understand. You are not walking alone. You have help. You have watchers. You have warring angels dispatched with precise instructions tied to your scroll. But now, I must speak of something holy, a secret few understand, the divine echo. This is the moment where heaven begins to echo your obedience. Every time you align, speak truth, release bitterness, or act in faith, heaven echoes that action in the spirit realm. If you pray, heaven shakes. If you forgive, heaven restores. If you step forward, heaven sends resources to meet you there. It is a rhythm, a dance between your will and God's divine orchestration. And now that the vow has been dismantled, the echo has no more interference. Every movement you make in this new season will be magnified by heaven's agreement. Let me declare it plainly. What took others 10 years will take you 10 months. What was too big before is now sized perfectly for your hands. What you thought was too late is now on time in the divine calendar. Because you were not late. You were protected. The delay was not punishment. It was preparation. And now that the vow has been broken and the scrolls have been opened, your true timeline begins. But let me give you one final instruction. It is simple, yet sacred. Protect your clarity. Now that you've been restored, you must guard the new frequency you carry. That means refuse access to anything that dims your light. Protect your peace as if it were gold. Test every voice, even the familiar ones. Don't explain your transformation to those still loyal to your past. This is not isolation. It is consecration, because you have been marked, and the vow they made could not undo the seal God has placed upon you. You are His, chosen, set apart, protected, and now released. So now I, Archangel Michael, give you this final blessing. May your restored name carry favor. May your restored spirit carry fire. May your restored path carry divine speed. And may no vow ever again rise against the destiny sealed over you in heaven. It is done. It is written, and it shall not be undone.